let's move on to Group C, which I'm excited to talk about. One team in here. We've got Poland, Mexico, Saudi Arabia, and Argentina. And let's start with the big boys. There's a couple of teams in this tournament, Jack, where when I see the squad list, the phrase disgusting amount of talent comes to mind.
Oh yeah, horrifying. Yeah.
And this is, if this 11 lines out the way I want it to in my head, these guys will be hard to beat. I think the one variable I have, one big variable, is that because of experience, because he's kind of like trusted in the international setup, I feel like they're probably going to start Nicola Otamendi.
Yeah.
And they shouldn't. Because I think you would be hard pushed to find a bigger shithouse centre half pairing than Romero and Lisandro Martinez if you put them side by side.
Yeah. But I will say Benfica have had a fantastic season, and Otamendi has been at the heart of that for them.
Great.
So I do think he's earned
Good
his
for him.
starting berth. Yeah, but I would love to see Romero in there alongside Martinez. That would be pretty spectacular. I feel like, to me, it's Otamendi. On paper, it's Otamendi and Romero. Maybe Martinez gets in there as a fullback. We could talk to death about, by the way, no commentary required on this, but here's the forwards for Argentina. Julian Alvarez, a Man City, young, ripping it up. Lionel Messi, Angel
Older,
Di Maria,
ripping it up.
Yeah. Nicolas Gonzalez from Fiorentina, Joaquin Correa from Inter, Paulo Dybala, and Lautaro Martinez. Wow. Very good. Yeah. But the area of the squad that I think has the weakness to me is the fullbacks. I don't see any kind of good, consistent bombing on fullbacks. I mean, what happened to Rojo? Hey, Dave, can't believe he didn't make it.
I know. And I'm disappointed with I think Tagliafico really got to that next level that in that Ajax team we all thought he would.
Yeah.
So that's him on one side, and I feel like Montiel is this guy, on the other side as right back, who I was hearing about for a long time. Oh, he's getting a move. He's moving from River Plate. He's going to go somewhere, and this was years and years and years, and then he kind of just went to Sevilla, and it's just he's all right.
Yeah.
Pretty
much.
I think that is the weakness, because I think even in their midfield, I'm in the center of midfield, I'm looking at players here who look at an Ezequiel Palacios at Bayer Leverkusen, who anytime I've ever seen that guy play, he's just an impressive, consummate midfielder, very calm on the ball. And a guy who has only 3 caps for the national team, but has big clubs in Europe just drooling over possibly signing next year in Enzo Fernandez.
Yeah.
He seems like he's going to get a big move at some point. So they've got depth in a lot of positions, except again that fullback spot, the both fullback spots.
Yeah, exactly. Worry. So you imagine kind of Molina challenges for right back and Acuna challenges for left back as well. And I couldn't tell you what combination of those 4 guys that we've mentioned is going to get in. But yeah, Rodrigo de Paul is also one of the more underrated midfielders on the planet. He's just incredible. He's in an Atletico team that are kind of in that weird phase of should we move on from Simeone? We probably should, but he's also a club legend, so we're not really sure. So they're kind of in a bit of disarray at the moment. But I think if a new manager came in there, he could definitely shine. And really, I have to say it, just from a magical sort of football point of view, if Messi won a World Cup, it would just be the way, wouldn't it? To just sort of put the chef kiss on the one of the greatest careers, if not the greatest career of all time.
I think one of the things I said to you in talking about it is I think for the narrative of Messi winning it, Argentina are one of the teams. I always pull for Argentina, but I think particularly this time I really want him to do it. And another thing that adds the cherry on top is that it will conclusively ruin Cristiano Ronaldo's life. He will never recover from Messi winning a World Cup. He will absolutely never recover from it.
No, it's a good point. But yeah, this to me is we've talked through some teams so far, but this to me is the first team we've got to where I'm like, yeah, this is a serious contender. Like England, that step below this, but like for me, like there's a genuine threat that these guys just completely run the table and flatten everyone in their path to that.
Yeah, I think it would take a collapse on a level that even Argentina haven't managed themselves in the past to not do very well in this tournament.
Yeah. Yeah, completely agreed.
We've got then in the kind of like second and third biggest names in the group, we've got two teams that kind of we've seen them overpromise and underdeliver at times. Mexico, in as much as they usually show up to World Cups with a bang and then religiously leave in the round of 16. Yeah. And Poland, who I think have for an entire generation threatened to do something at a tournament and then not actually done anything.
Pretty much. Mexico, it's their gimmick. Since 1994, all the way through to the last World Cup, they have qualified. They have gone through in the group. They have gone out in the round of 16 every single time.
And so, they haven't just beaten jobbers on the way. Like they've been drawn in with like they destroyed France. They caused France to implode in 2010. Most notably, that was when they had the stopwatch thrown in a hedge incident at the French training ground.
Yeah, the Nicolas Anelka incident of him saying some pretty choice things in the dressing room, apparently. Yeah. And another great Netflix documentary. He really doesn't have any remorse about any of it, and I love it.
Oh yeah,
Nicolas Anelka's just like, no, I'm a cunt. I don't care.
Yeah. But there's some decent names in this team. I was tickled to see Guardado still lining out for the national side. We've got Irving Lozano, who is well capped, well seasoned player. He's part of a Napoli team that are have their best chance at a Scudetto in a generation.
Yeah, you hope he kind of brings some of that shine from Napoli, because they've been just eviscerating teams this season. So yeah, he's one of those guys that I kind of, I thought like he would go on to like another level above where he's got to. I thought he would be like the next guy, but hasn't quite happened for him. But he's just had and been building a very, very decent career over the last few years at Napoli.
Of course, we've got Edson Alvarez from Ajax as well, who's kind of he was in that kind of if Lisandro Martinez hadn't been taken away from Ajax this summer, it would have been him, because he's also in that holding midfield / also centre back kind of floats between the two roles. Seems to play more as a defender for Mexico, but a very solid player, part of Ten Hag's Ajax team. I like him a lot. There's enough talent in here that if you want to tell me that they'll sneak through, I'd absolutely back you on that. And if you want to tell me that they just don't have enough this time, finally they don't get out of the group, I would also believe you on that.
For me, it's goals. It's goals. And it's a shame. What happened to Raul Jimenez a few years ago with him fracturing his skull in a game, and he just hasn't been the same guy since. And you can link a lot of the troubles that Wolves have had, because, Wolves have always been a team that are, again, keeping things extremely tight. Nab a goal. If Jimenez gets a chance, he scores it, and he won a lot of points for them. And the same way he scored a lot of goals for Mexico pre-injury, and since then it's sad. He's kind of a shadow of his former self, and I just look around the team and there's not many guys there that you would expect to kind of stand up and take that sort of centre forward role. And if it isn't like Lozano coming in off the wing, cutting in and whipping one into the far corner, you just think there's a real lack of goals in this team. Henri Martin is a guy that has been operating as a centre forward. He's like a very solid Mexican league player. He's had a great career in the last few years at Club America. So he may be a potential source of goals, but I'm not seeing it. But the one thing I am happy to see, Dave, is that we get to see Guillermo Ochoa again, probably for his last go round in a World Cup. That guy's hair is amazing.
Yeah, well, you say that, but you never know with like the Mexican national team, because I am pretty sure that Rafa Marquez played in about 40 World Cups. before he retired. Conservatively, haven't run the numbers, but I think that's true.
He was at least 68 in his last World Cup for sure.
Yeah. Let's move on and have the traditional once every 2 to 4 years Poland national team talk. And I gotta say, sometimes you see a name on a squad list that pops you big. You know, our mate Djorkaeff we talked about earlier on and the likes. If you had given me 4,000 guesses, I would not have said that one of the names that would pop up in the Poland national team for the World Cup would be Matty Cash.
Yeah, I mean, the first time I heard he was playing for the Polish national team, it popped me huge as well. Yeah, I think it's
his mother.
Yeah, I think it's his mother's side. But then
he's only been playing for them since last year. He's played 7 times, scored.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if his mother was even Polish. I think like maybe her family was Polish or whatever, and she came over to England or whatever and grew up. I don't know, or whether she was born here. But it's awesome to see Matty Cash in the team. And, you know, Matty Cash is actually a really, I would say, above average, good performing
I like
fullback. So it's a good get for Poland, really. And, you know, I look at the forwards and I see like Krzysztof Piątek.
Remember him?
Yeah, I see Arkadiusz Milik and I see Robert Lewandowski, and I think, you know what, that's in terms of a depth of options at centre forward, that's pretty fucking good.
Yeah.
It's just the rest of the team. I'm kind of like, yeah, like, you know, when your best centre half is Jan Bednarek, your defence is probably not going to be that sound.
No.
And yeah, I see kind of the last remnants of what was at one stage a kind of a solid Polish team. Like Kamil Glik is still knocking around in there as well. Artur Jedrzejczyk is still in there, and
Krychowiak.
Yeah, Krychowiak is in there. Some of these guys that have been around for kind of donkey's years, who were part of like what was probably like a potential golden generation for Poland that never really materialized. But I mean, you get the ball to Lewandowski in the right scenario.
It's very simple.
He could win you games. Like, he could easily win you games. And he did it for them in the Euros. I mean, do you remember that absurd goal when he just ran all the way up the left-hand side and smashed it in the far corner in the Euros? It's almost silly that he can do things like that. So while they have him, they have a chance. And, you know, I've always liked Kamil Grzycki as well. I think, you know, he was a few years kind of skirting around the Premier League and Liga. And he's always been, you know, a potentially like game-breaking attacking kind of winger / midfielder who can produce something. He's another guy who's like in his early to mid-30s at this point, and maybe he's not the best, but there's definitely routes for this Polish team to cause problems and score goals.
I'm a fan of Peter Zielinski as well from Napoli, a guy who is like really trustworthy, and you can put him on and he will absolutely get stuck into any ball that comes anywhere near him. I like watching him play. Very active man. Now I will
kind of passed on Szczesny a little bit though, sadly. I think if you look at some of his recent form for Juve, he's not the guy he used to be. I don't know.
Now, I know I don't have any notes on them, but I don't put it past you to have a detailed dossier on the Saudi Arabia national team, Jack.
Wow, Dave, you know I don't like to disappoint, except when I have to disappoint you, because I don't really know so much about Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, again, they're just getting pasted by everybody. Like they don't, for their sakes, they sadly don't have any player that plays outside their national league.
No, it's them and Qatar who both have all of their players. They do have a forward called Salam Al-Dassari, who's their kind of leading goal scorer of the team, and he had one appearance on loan for Villarreal in 2018, so he tried to venture a little bit outside. But yeah, this team is Al-Ahly, Al-Hilal, and Al-Nassr and Al-Shaddad mostly, in terms of its makeup. And again, I just don't know enough about the Saudi Arabian Premier League.
Big pop that they're managed by Hervé Renard.
Renard, yes.
A name I haven't seen in a little while.
His thing was like he was doing a pretty decent tour of managing African national sides for a while. You know, in there with Ivory Coast, in there with Morocco, in there with Zambia. But yes, I could not give too much detailed analysis about Saudi Arabia, and I look around at the other teams in this group and I just feel like they're all going to bag a hatful against them, to be honest.
Right, let's go to it. Our team rankings here. I think Argentina number one with a bullet. This might be of our 3 groups we've done here. I think this is the strongest candidate for 9 points.
Sweep. Yeah.
Straight through. Second, it's really, flip a coin. I'm going to say, just based on the fact that they always do it, let's go Mexico.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Mexico-Poland is the first game of the group for those
That's
teams.
pretty much going to determine second place.
It does. Yeah, 100%. Let's go with El Tri. Go Mexico.
Yeah. And then Poland third,
Saudis.
and
Yep.
Saudis. Yeah.
Yep.
I don't think there's any dispute about Saudis fourth. But
I don't think they would dispute that either.
No, I don't think they would.